Pull up to the pregame. Yeah, yeah. Pull up to the pregame. Pull up. Pull up. Pull up. Pull up. Hey, hey. Pull up to the pregame. Yeah, yeah. Pull up to the pregame. Pull up. Pull up. Pull up. Pull up. Hey, hey. Catch a vibe.
Yo, what's up? What's poppin', everybody? Welcome back to the Pregame podcast. We lit, we live, and while y'all edit, make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. What's up, family? We back. I know we took a break last week because of the draft, but we are back in here. Vashti,
Hey,
what's up with you? How are you?
I'm tired, but I'm
I feel
here.
you. Look, I always get on you because of being tired, but I'm tired too. So I can't even get on you today. This week has been a week. But we made it. I appreciate y'all for pulling up. If y'all are new here, welcome to the Pregame podcast. If you are a regular, if you are A1's day one, welcome back this week's episode to the Pregame podcast. One thing we always do here, we always start off with what you're pulling up with, right? So we always talk about that. Oh, I think she might have had an issue. Yeah, she just had an issue. Hold on, let me bring her back in. There we go. Can you hear me?
Sorry.
No, you good. You good. One thing we do here at the Pregame podcast, we always start off what you're pulling up with, right? So if you ever been to a pregame, you never come to a pregame empty-handed. You always got to bring something. Here at the pregame, we don't want you to bring anything tangible. We just want to see how your week was, what kind of energy, what kind of vibe you're pulling up with on this evening. So I want y'all to drop that in the chat while we talk about it for a little bit, and then we'll pop some of those comments up into the screen. So Vashti, I know you say you're tired, but what you pulling up with?
Fatigue.
But I feel you. Trust me, I feel you. If nobody else in the world feels you, I feel you.
It's
I feel you.
fatigue today.
I feel that. What am I pulling up with? I'm pulling up gas. My gas tank is on E. It's been a week, but I'm excited to do this with y'all today. We didn't get a chance to do it last week because of the draft, and we're gonna talk about the draft a little bit. Vash, I know you had a very busy week last week. Well, I feel like every week's busy for you, so it's hard to say you've had a busy week, but it was a lot going on. A lot of things happened with the Panthers. We'll get into it a little bit. I know you have a hard stop tonight because you are a busy woman and you got a lot of things to do. So we'll make sure we get into some of the draft stuff because I know a lot of people really want to hear from your perspective a lot of things that went down in terms of the Panthers and how you were feeling about what we've done so far, because you had a fire. If y'all did not see her Vashti's interview on WCNC, she spazzed, and everything that she was talking about, a lot of things happened and took place during that draft, and so I want to hear your thoughts. I would say so. Yeah.
I didn't go back and watch it. I don't like watching myself.
Same, and I got to get better at that. I got to get better at that too, because sometimes I don't go back and look at my stuff. But in order to get, somebody told me, in order to get better at your craft, you got to go back and watch your stuff. But
Yeah.
I'm saying, one thing I'm gonna do, one thing here, we always keep it a buck, right? So I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. Yeah, a lot of things that you said in there in terms of what they need to do and how to get that draft right. You low key spazzed. I ain't gonna hold you. It was good.
Appreciate that.
I was like, shout out to my sis. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I see a lot of people talking about they pulling up with gratitude. First off, shout out to my mom in the chat. She just had knee replacement surgery. This past it's been a week now. So shout out to you. You are rocking. You are killing physical therapy. I love you, Mom. Keep going. I appreciate you being in here. We love you. And yeah, keep going. Keep pushing, girl. Keep pushing. Somebody said Stan Vashti account here. So look, you got people, you know what I'm saying? You got love. People love you, Vashti. She might have froze. We got some Wi-Fi issues. No worries. We'll let me pull her out until she gets fixed. It's all good. So yeah, I want to know what y'all pulling up with. What type of energy y'all pulling up with today? We got a fun-filled fun filled episode tonight. First things first, I see a lot of people. Yeah, I see you. Vasha just messaged me, says she frozen. We'll fix that. Let's see. Deontay in the chat, much love. Appreciate you, my guy. Look, shout out to my pops in here. He said, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Look, y'all, we are at 300. Last time I checked, 332 subscribers, y'all. 332. We're on a road to 500. We need to get that YouTube partner going on so we can really make this thing pop. All right, I'm gonna talk about this a little later on tonight, but I got some ideas. I got some plans. That one thing one thing I love about doing this podcast is the community, and this is one thing. First off, shout out to my dog Dunk. Okay, shout out to my guy Dunk. He invited me on his stream for the draft. We streamed for at least I should go back and count, but it had to be around 16, 17 hours straight. Not straight, but 16, 17 hours throughout the whole draft. Like Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I appreciate you, Dunk, for allowing me to come on. But one thing we talked about in terms of like making videos versus live streaming like we're doing right now is the community, right? To be able to interact with you all throughout the night about everything we're talking about. I love that. I love that so much that I got something I created that I'm excited to share later on tonight. So make sure y'all stay tuned in. Make sure y'all part of it before it gets crazy and before we had to change some of the requirements. Want to make sure y'all pull up on that. Deontay say he pulling up with high protein Greek yogurt and kombucha. Shout out to kombucha. First off, I've just started getting on kombucha this year, and I don't know. You gotta let me know the right kombucha to get. You know what I'm saying? I'm very iffy on like what kombucha I want to get, but let me know about that. You good, Vasha?
Yeah, Spectrum. So yeah,
that. It's all good. It is all good. Shout out to my dog Ricky Rains out here. Look, if y'all, let me tell you one thing. I got to shout. Every time Ricky come on, I know he probably like, this man shout me out all the time. But Ricky, you had a fire draft guide that helped out so much during the draft. And I talked about a lot on Dunk's live stream for the draft in terms of the grades that you did and all of that. Bro, I know it wasn't just you, so shout out to everybody that helped you with that. But you definitely spazzed, bro. You spazzed on that draft guide. If you have not had a chance to see it, it's not too late. Just because the draft is over does not mean you can't support that draft guide. If you want to know a little bit more about some of the draft picks that the Panthers picked up, or whoever your team is, definitely go check out that draft guide because it definitely will help you and give you more insight in terms of strengths, weaknesses, all that for each of those particular players. So shout out to Ricky on that one.
Put a lot of work into that.
A lot of work. And one thing that I appreciate, and I've said this about your stuff too, Vashti, in terms of how you write, he writes like he talks, and you write like you talk. And I appreciate someone who is true to the craft, where you can hear and feel their personality through their writing. It is a art. I appreciate it and I respect it a lot. And Ricky has that same vibe that you have too. And whenever I can read that and I could feel the person's personality, that's when you know it's going to be a great article or a great guide, whatever they're writing. So shout out to y'all on that, because writing is a true art. Everybody can't do it well, but when you do it, I appreciate it. All right, so we got a lot of people in right now. People are still coming in right now. We got about 40 to 50 people in here. Make sure y'all continue to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification. It's a free way to support this podcast. But you know how we always start. I always got to do some pregame reacts. This is the only part of the agenda that Vashti has no idea about, or Shad has no idea about. Shad, if you don't, I know a lot of people may be wondering where Shad is. He is doing the NFC Roundtable, where a lot of content creators from NFC South get together to talk about whatever's going on in NFC South. So he had to go take care of that. So shout out to our co-host Shad for handling business there. But pregame reacts. This is the only part of the night where I don't tell Vashti or Shad what we got going on. Vashti, you ready for this? We got some fun ones tonight.
No, but let's go.
I appreciate it. So, first one we're gonna start off real light. You know what I'm saying? So, have you ever got a chance to watch Drewski's Could Have Been Love? His reality show.
Oh, Could Have Been Love?
It's called Could Have Been Love.
Probably not.
So he got the Could Have Been Records thing, right? So he decided to do like the
Right.
Could Have
I've
Been Rugs.
seen that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he decided to do something called Could Have Been Love, right? And Could Have Been Love was his version of. Do you remember Flavor of Love? Like, when Flavor Flav did his. So
course.
he had to do something like that, which is absolutely hilarious on YouTube. You haven't seen it? It's a funny watch. But they had their reunion.
Is it skit though? Is
No,
it skit?
It's not skits. This is like his own like little low key reality show. Now, of course,
But he got a girl. So is he really trying to find love, or is it
what girl he got? I don't know no girl he got.
I don't know. He has some.
Oh, he had somebody. Yeah, Ruby Rose. Yeah, they're not together no more.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. They're not together anymore.
I don't know. I don't keep track of them.
No, it's all good. I got you. That's what I'm here for.
Okay.
But basically, I feel like some of it's staged for sure. But it's if you know anything about like Drewski, it's gonna be funny. It's you definitely staged because how it ended, he picked the most hilarious person, and they're really not together. Low key, like out of all of that, the funniest thing happened during the reunion show. Right, they started getting into a fight, and he tried to like shut it down and get mad and all that stuff. You could tell it's really staged, but I want you to watch this and let me know your thoughts.
Hold on. Next time she says something again, sit down. The next time you say something, yeah, I'm on that. Shut the up. Oh shit.
Hey, was that staged or did he really fall? Do we got to run that back?
Can you run it back?
Oh, we can run it back.
Run that back, Turbo.
We got you. All right. You want it with the volume or you want it with no volume?
It doesn't matter. All
right. We'll do a little volume.
The next time you say yeah, I'm on that.
Shut the
oh, shit. I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out, Vashti. We can slow it down. But to me, it looked a little staged, and I wasn't sure. And I was
but his reaction didn't seem staged.
I know. You're right. And it was slippery because he fell too. The security guard. Sheba agrees. Yeah, that might not have been staged. He might have fell. He might have fell for real. Bro, that was absolutely hilarious. If you have not seen, it was hilarious. Drewski good.
I don't know, Carlo. Based on this clip, I'm not sold on this. It's just seemed. Who was the girl that was standing up cursing?
So look, I only seen a few episodes. That's one of the girls that got kicked off. She wasn't a winner. But I saw this clip on social media and I thought it was absolutely hilarious because, bruh, Drewski he's always falling somewhere. He fell one time he was doing Could Have Been Records on the stage. And it was absolutely hilarious. And he always hurting himself. And I saw that and I was like, yo, he almost busted his face wide open. So it was absolutely hilarious. So I had to share that one. But, Vashti, guess what I got for you today? I got some more YN R&B for you.
What?
It's some new ones that popped. It's some new ones that dropped. And we got to go through it. We got to go through it. All right. So I got a few for you. We'll see which ones I'm feeling. You got to let me know whether you're rocking with it or not. Not saying you're gonna listen to it. You know what I'm saying? But you gotta let me know. Do you want me to give you some context or you just want to go in cold, straight, no chaser?
Yeah, I don't need context.
Okay. Oh, she ready. All right, let's get it. Let me see which one I'm gonna do first. Let's go.
You better keep it pushing. Just say what you want. Please don't get me started. Just leave me alone. Don't make me have to draw my gun. So just chill. It's best you get to moving. I'm letting you know in advance. 2-step on the floor. That yappa gon' make you dance. Don't make me have to draw my gun. So just chill. So just chill. I keep it on me. Right by my side. Just chill. I keep it on me. It's with me all night. How that make you feel?
Hey, what you thinking? We all know the song. We've heard the song plenty of times. What you think?
Okay. I liked this when I first heard it. Now it's coming off gimmicky.
Ooh, talk about it.
No, it's just gimmicky now. It's something that like I can see it being a trend for a month or so, and then we moving on. I mean, this is not something that people gonna be bumping in their
Oh,
cars. We
definitely
might as
not.
well listen to the old school song. So it was good, but
It's getting to the point where it's like, okay, now. So
yeah.
would you say? I think the biggest thing, and it's a question that like me and my homeboys talked about. Do you see? Would you deem this as very creative, or do you seem like this is something where it's like, this maybe not be
Creative
this?
in what way?
I mean, I'm gonna say creative in what way? I think you can't really like creative is a creative, in my opinion. Like everyone can be creative in a different way. But what I mean by this is like we've seen a lot of people sample songs, right? And the wave now, if you will, is this YN piece of like changing these old school songs to make like to crash out songs, if you will, right? Do you deem this as creative, or it's kind of like, all right, y'all need to move on? Like it had its time, and now it's time to move on.
I thought when I first saw it, I thought it was really creative.
Yeah.
It's just lost its luster for me, or maybe that one wasn't hitting enough. I don't
Okay.
know.
What about this one? What about this one? Let's go to Aaliyah.
Label drop that bag, we put switches on them straps. And now I kinda wish a nigga would. If I up this pole, I'm doing that everybody. I'm talking about everybody. Just to let you know, I'm doing that everybody. I'm talking about everybody.
Thoughts? Mid, not even
It ain't.
mid.
It
Ain't enough.
ain't moving me. I didn't even understand some of the stuff he was saying.
Okay.
So if I can't understand the words, it's really not
It's
gonna hit
not.
because
It's
that's
really
what
not.
it's all about.
Uh-oh. So it sounds like, look, Vashti is when it comes to music, Vashti knows her stuff. You know what I'm saying? And I respect it. You know what I mean? And I remember the first time I sent this to Vashti, she was like, "Yo, it's a vibe. It's a vibe." You know. But now she's like, and it may have lost its luster.
For me, it's lost its luster.
I understand. Do you think it was the shock factor the first time? The shock
I
factor of
thought it
like
was
I didn't.
something. No, it was different.
Yeah.
It was they were flipping the songs, they were making it on some, gully type stuff, which I liked, I appreciated. Now it's like, okay.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah. No, I respect it. I think for me, the first one we listened to, I don't think he's as good as a singer as the second person. So the first one was TT Johnson. The second guy his name is Saint Lamar. I feel like Saint Lamar can sing, and I think what really for me separates the different artists that come out with the YN R&B is if you can actually like truly sing, and it sounds good. The other guy, I think he was trying a little too hard in my opinion. So I don't know. It was different. I don't know. I think for me, the first batch that I was able to find, I feel like it was better. And I think for me,
Yeah, I agree.
it was a shock factor of like, oh shoot, like this is something new. But I feel as though like this is not a genre that I think that will potentially like withstand the time. You know what I mean? Like people are gonna enjoy it. I think it's great. And the interesting thing about this particular YN R&B is like not a lot of them are on Apple Music or Spotify or anything. You feel me, Sheba? No, it's all good. Trust me. If my
Yeah,
dog
I don't know
isn't,
something.
if the other thing too is like, if it was like the fact that it's on TikTok to me says it all. Like it's gonna go through its viral moment. So that's how I feel about it. Yo, Sheba mad. You better go feed her. She says time. She want to go outside. You need to take her outside. You feel me? Hey, let her know, Sheba. All right, so we're gonna get into another video real
All
quick.
right, guys.
No, you're good. You're good. We're gonna get to another video. Vashta, you probably haven't watched any of the UFL, have you?
No.
No, it's all good. So a funny thing happened in the UFL. This happened a few weeks ago, I want to say it was. But a UFL, the coach from the Houston Roughnecks went viral because he went off on one of his players. I want to say the player was Cam Sims? I want to say it was. But he got in the game.
Cam Sims that played at Virginia Tech?
I believe so, yeah.
I remember interviewing him back in the day.
Really? What was his vibe?
If it's him, I gotta look it up and make sure.
No, I'm about to do it right now for you while you're talking. Let me see. Houston Roughnecks. I had the name and I lost it.
Nah, that might not be him though.
I'm about to pull it up right now. Nah, it might have been Cam Sims. Was it his last?
Alabama.
I know.
He went to Alabama. It's not the same one. Oh, is it Cam Sims?
I'm looking up right now to see. I'm seeing somebody. It's right next. Cam. Oh no, I think it can't be him. It can't be Cam. Is it Cam Sutton?
I don't know.
I don't remember. Yes, I think it is. Cam Sutton. Yes, Cam Sutton. Sorry, not Cam Sims. Sorry. But he was supposed to get into the game. He wasn't supposed to go in the game, and the coach got pissed off. But I'm gonna share the video, and then I want us to talk about it.
Why is he in the game? Don't you put him in again? Hey, Cam. Who put you in the game? Who put you in the game? No, you don't go in the game. No, come back. Don't you go in.
Yo, could you imagine if you in the UFL, right, trying to make it to the NFL, and this went viral, telling you like, why you getting in the game? And he telling you like, don't you get in that game? Like at that point in time, if your coach is talking to you that way, like, is it time to let it go? Is it time to let it go and find something else? If he is yelling at you in the UFL to not get in the game, like, is that you? Do you think the coach is wilding for that, knowing that he was mic'd up? Or do you feel like
that went viral though?
Yeah, that went viral. It went viral.
Why?
For two different reasons. One, a lot of people don't get a chance to have head coaches mic'd up and to hear what's taking place throughout the game, right? The UFL is known for being really transparent with the ins and outs and the nuance of what's taking place through a game, right? There's like, for instance, the UFL allows you to listen in to calls like the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator calling in a play to the mic on the field, right? So that's how detailed and behind the scenes that they do get with the UFL. Things that you don't get in the NFL, right? So you don't get a chance to really get a head coach mic'd up during a game to hear what's taking place. So when you hear stuff that probably already happens in the NFL where a coach is saying X, Y, and Z, we don't get to see that stuff, right? But now we're seeing it in the UFL, right? And so these players are people who either played in the NFL or people who are coming straight out of college trying to get to the NFL. And then you hear this coach going off on you like you a high school player saying like, why you get in the game? Don't you get in the game? Why he in the game? And it could be it could be very, very embarrassing for said player, right? So that's why it went viral, because I think a lot of people don't get to see the nuance of what's taking place on the field. These are probably normal conversations that people don't get to hear, and we're hearing it via ESPN. Okay. That's why it went viral.
Well, I mean, it really is not a big deal to me.
Mm-hmm.
I do see that they end up releasing him not too long after that incident occurred, but I don't know. I don't.
I think it's interesting. I think
it's not that serious to me. Like, we don't know the backstory. We don't know what was going on. We don't know who was ahead of him, what play sets they were running. So it's just not. It's not that serious for me to be embarrassed about it, or like, you know.
I think for me, the way I look at it too, like, I understand the your take on is not being serious. I think if I was Cam Sutton, if I'm that player, right, and I'm trying to make a living, and that news comes out, you know what I mean? Like, it could be embarrassing for me as that player to be like, wow, the head coach didn't believe in me. He telling me why did I come in, this, that, and the third. And now that is my brand of like, people think I'm trash. I can't get in the game. Now I got released. Now, granted, like you said, we don't know any of the
Yeah.
context of all of that. You know what I'm saying? So since it's a podcast, we're gonna talk about it and figure like, make up our own story of like what we think, but we don't know if he was already told don't get in the game and then he's like, F it, I'm gonna get in the game anyway. We don't have any of that information. You know what I'm saying? But if I'm looking at it from the player's perspective, not knowing those details, I'm like, dang, like now everybody gonna be laughing at me. 'Cause I'm the laughing stock because the head coach went off and he was mic'd up, and now I'm released from the team. It's gonna be hard for me to get back on the team.
Yeah, I'm not gonna assume that he was telling him not to get in the game because he's trash. I'm just not gonna. I'm personally not going to assume that.
Yeah,
Could that have been the reason? Absolutely.
yeah,
It's just, I mean, that clip, just like, why are you in the game? Don't get in the game. I mean,
context matters.
I don't know. Context matters, and as you know, as a journalist, I learned that I can't make assumptions about
Mm,
what was going on in that space in that time,
yeah,
understanding the nuances of football and
yeah,
what down were they on? Were they in a pass rush down? Were they in
mm-hmm,
a pass pro down? Like what was going on? Like
yeah.
so I'm not going to assume that it was an indictment against Cam Sutton.
That's good context for sure, and I completely agree with you. I think at the end of the day, the fact that it came out and the fact that he, like you said, was released like soon after that, it just sucks for him as a player. And like you said, we don't know. But yeah, but it leads right into the next thing I want to talk about. So that was a heck of a transition, Vashti. But I want to get into the draft and what take place before we get into the Panthers. I want to talk about something that went absolutely viral, and that's Shador. And you talked about context mattering, but I want to talk about Shador for just a minute. Um, so the first thing I want to talk about is him being picked up in the 5th round, when a lot of people were saying he should be either a first round, second round, this, that, and the third. A lot of quarterbacks went way before him that personally, this is my opinion, should not have gone before him. The Tyler Show, the Dylan Gabriel, a lot of these different quarterbacks. The conversation is now becoming, is it collusion, right? Or is it his dad's fault, Dion, or his fault for either not doing well in interviews? Like I said, we don't know any of this, right? But a lot of stories and a lot of theories, if you will, are coming out saying he did not interview well, or they were trying to teach him and his dad a lesson. A lot of those different things, which I don't necessarily believe. But I want to know from your standpoint, like, what were your thoughts being in the Panther Stadium, seeing all these draft picks happen, and seeing him get picked in the 5th round by the Cleveland Browns that late?
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Sheba has now
Sheba
calmed down.
going crazy
Um,
right now.
I want to be clear that Vashti Hurt and Carolina Blitz, we cover the Carolina Panthers. I understand that this is a national story, and I did pay attention to it. Draft night, I really didn't care. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't care.
No, I get that.
Because I was so busy, trying to keep track of what the Panthers were doing that, I knew he wasn't going, but, in that moment, I was like, okay, like, now, do I think that he was there were 5 quarterbacks taken ahead of him?
Yeah.
Do I think that he was the 6th best quarterback available? No.
Yeah.
Am I of the do I think that this was a message that the league was sending? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
There's no question about that. That's obvious.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you it's clear what they were doing, and it was geared toward not just Shador, but Dion and anybody else
Yeah.
after them who felt like they would try to potentially dictate certain things. It was an interesting situation. I don't necessarily believe all of the reports that he interviewed poorly.
Same.
but I wasn't in those rooms.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Well,
and I also think, and this is where it might be controversial. I think that Shador is one of the better quarterbacks in this draft, right?
mm-hmm.
I also think that desperate teams would be, and I see your dad said Dion didn't do anything different than Archie Manning, but Dion isn't Archie Manning.
Right.
All right. Dion is as respected, but
But I
trust and
think
believe.
he did it a lot. He did it differently than Archie Manning, which I want to get into, but go ahead.
But I think that, and this is not a knock on Shador, when you're elite, teams are willing to overlook certain things, but you have to be elite. I don't know if Shador is elite. I didn't watch him enough and I'm saying elite like generational, right?
That G
When you're
word.
generational, teams will be like, all right, I don't care about that stuff. Bump it. We want to win, and we're going to win with him. I don't think that based on what I've seen, I don't know if he's a generational talent enough for them to say, all right, we're going to bump the system,
Yeah.
bump the message that we're trying to send. We're going to draft him regardless.
Yeah.
No, I don't think that. And I also think there was some collusion involved. I remember after Deshaun got that guaranteed contract, Lamar tried to do the same thing.
Yeah, you taking
and
all
the
my
league
notes.
was like, nah.
Right.
So trust and believe. These guys talk to each other. This was a message like, this is the NFL. We run stuff around here. I don't care if your daddy is Dion. You're not gonna dictate to us how we move. And
Right.
this was a message that was sent.
Yeah.
And we all saw it. And we can't do anything about it. And they know it. So it is what it is.
I love it. Before we continue, we got 100 people in here right now. Make sure y'all continue to come over. We got a lot of people over on Twitter. Make sure y'all come over to YouTube, subscribe to the Pregame Podcast, hit that like button, hit that bell notification so you don't miss when we go live. It's a free way to support the podcast. Vasha, I completely agree with you. On that. I think the biggest thing between Archie Manning and Dion is Archie Manning did it quietly and during the draft. Dion was very vocal on, I only want my son to go to these particular teams. And like you said, the NFL is a very prideful, the front office in the NFL, like all the powers that be, commissioners and all that stuff, they're very prideful and they're going to make sure that they teach a lesson in terms of like, no, we run X, Y, and Z, right? I want to continue to go on with Dion, but I know you have a hard stop, so I want to get
real
into
quick. Yeah. I don't know how quiet Archie was because we all knew that he said that he didn't want to play for what was it, Chargers or?
Yeah. So, well, I won't say this. I think social media is different now than it was then, right? He may not have been as quiet as it may have looked, but of course, in this day and age where everybody's on social media and things can go viral out of nowhere and everyone has a platform, it made it seem like it was a lot louder. I will say that.
And we have to acknowledge there is a racial component here as well.
Absolutely. I mean, that's I didn't even know if we had to say that. I think that's very clear.
Well, yeah, you always have to say it. You always have to say it because, no need to beat around the bush. Fair
enough. One thing Vashti gonna do is always call me out to make sure I say what I want to say. So, and I respect that. But yeah, no, you're absolutely right. That's the biggest factor. And if this was any other quarterback, you know what I'm saying, it would have been different circumstance. So I completely agree. But before you go, Vashti, I definitely want to get your opinion on the draft class, right? Me personally, Vashti, look, talk about it, Sheba. She agreed. I feel as though Dan cooked in terms of this, right? I think for me, I'm so glad we got T-Mac. That's who I really wanted. I thought we were gonna go defense, and so I was trying to convince myself that Jalen Walker was the play, but T-Mac was who I really wanted, right? And it happened. What were your thoughts? And like what other beat reporters like, y'all are all. I'm assuming here that you all are in a room close to each other, maybe around each other when things are happening and you're experiencing the draft together during that time. What were your thoughts like seeing the way that Dan in the front office were moving and shaking during this draft class?
Yeah, so we were in an area, like if you've been on the club level at Bank of America Stadium, we're kind of like in the club area. And yeah, I thought that Dan and company went in with a very clear vision. It wasn't all of this, you know how Scott would do all of this trading and stuff. Like that is not Dan. I think that there was a scenario where Dan would have preferred to have traded back because he could have potentially still gotten um McMillan,
Mm-hmm.
but that's not how it worked out. So yeah, I think they were very clear with what they wanted to do, how they wanted to move. Um Obviously they got their guy in the first round, but edge was still a priority. I said prior to the draft they had to hit in rounds 2 through 4. That is yet to be seen, but I do think they got some guys. I also said you got to get first round talent in those second and in those mid rounds.
Right.
And I think they did that with those pass rushers. I like those guys.
Same.
I think they did well with that. The Etienne pick was like,
yeah, that's the only one I was kind of iffy on, to be honest with you.
I don't know about that.
Yeah. I had to convince myself and do some research on like the reasons why, but I completely agreed. My first initial reaction, and that's on Dunks Live when I was on there, I was like, I don't know, Dan. Like, I wasn't sure about that, but I get why.
Yeah, and I'm still not sure about that. I understand. I mean, you have 2 running backs, and then you have Blackshear.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's
Brooks
not like
on
running
IR.
back isn't Brooks on IR. It's not like running back is just this is a position that you can't get a good guy in later rounds if you need. Like I don't know what role Etienne will play. Special teams, I guess.
Yeah.
But I also think the guy out of
Colorado
will be a good returner. I had a fellow media member hit me up in my DMs and was like, he's gonna be Steve Smith. Because you know Steve Smith came, I don't forget which round he was drafted.
Third. He was third round.
Third. He started out as a returner, and then he evolved into one of the best receivers.
That's a bold take from said reporter.
I don't name names, but I did have a media member in my DMs and say that. Yeah.
Ooh, that's a bold
not
take.
Panthers, not among the Panthers core, but somebody outside.
I figured, you were right there with all the Panther reporters, so I knew it wasn't one of them. Yeah. Interesting. Did you have a favorite out of this? Like based on, I'm not saying favorite from like what you know in terms of what they do, like on the field, but like a favorite in terms of interviews. Like you get the chance to interview these people, and granted, they didn't get a chance to see you yet. And I've said this before, and I'm gonna give context. We got 115 people in here. I'm gonna give context to why I'm about to say what I'm about to say. One thing I love about Vashti and Sheena is the way that they are able to disarm the players to make them feel comfortable when they're asking questions, whether it's in the locker room or whether it's in a press conference. The way that y'all ask questions, the tone in which you say it, they can feel that it's coming from a great place, and y'all are very authentic with it. And I could tell players react and answer differently than other beat reporters. You've heard me say it before, and I will continue to say that.
Appreciate
Do you have
that.
come on now? You know, one thing I'm gonna do is toot the horn of the people. You know what I'm saying? So look, shout out to y'all. Do you have a favorite based on their personality? And granted, like they're nervous. It's your first time you're interacting with them, but was it somebody that stood out to you where you like he's gonna be a fan favorite, or he's a dog, or like I like this kid?
So we only really talk to them via Zoom for like 5 minutes, and it's right after they're drafted. Usually the connection is bad. It's just not a great interview environment.
Yeah.
We did, of course, have an in-person interview with McMillan, very charismatic guy.
I like him.
I thought that he was a good interview. The one that made me say, was Princely. And it wasn't anything that we said, but his draft call.
Yeah.
When he said, I'm going to run y'all pockets in 3 to 4 years, I was like...
Energy.
That is
Energy.
energy right there.
Energy.
I'm gonna have to run y'all pockets in what?
I don't think I've ever heard somebody say that on a call.
I need that. Like what? I'm
Especially
gonna run y'all. What?
And he said,
Come on now.
He said, what took y'all so long?
I don't even care about what took y'all so long.
I cared about what took y'all so long.
I care about that. I need what was the exact quote?
He said, I'm gonna let you know. I'm gonna run your pockets. I'm gonna have to run your pockets in 3 to 4 years. That's the line. I remember. That's the line.
That is cold. That's cold. I love that.
Especially at the edge rusher position.
That.
Like we I said, especially at the edge rusher position, like we need a type of dog like that. You know what I'm saying? Like I appreciate you betting yourself. That right there is different from ain't 144 people better than me.
He said, quote, I'm gonna have to break y'all pockets in like 3 or 4 years. And do it.
Get him.
I just like that energy.
I do too.
Yeah. Rookie mini camp is next week. I believe they haven't sent us the official dates, but it's next week. So we'll probably get to see these guys in person.
Yeah. Okay. So y'all get to go out. Y'all get to go out there and interact with them and all that, right?
Yes, but I don't know how much of practice we'll be able to see.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
Okay, so I got this idea. I got this idea that I said on Dunk's live stream, and I want you to let me know before you leave. Am I cooking on this or am I not? Right. So we know that Panthers fans cannot attend training camp for the next 2 years. Right. And we talked about this when we were on the phone the other day. It sucks, right? It sucks that the Panther fans cannot be there. And I feel as though there is so much good, positive traction that is building up for the Panthers, like in terms of fans supporting, being excited about what's taking place for something like this to happen. And training camp is a very, very monumental moment, if you will, for Panthers fans to truly get excited for the season to come. Mm-hmm. And for it not to have any fans there except for possibly one time, I feel as though they're losing steam in terms of like where we're headed. So an idea that I had was like, look, they should get either like, for you all, like you and Sheena, because y'all are like be reporters, but y'all are also like content creators. They should get somebody like a content creator, somebody not to stream because you can't record and all that stuff, but to be present there at training camp to either like host a podcast or do something there at training camp for people to tune into live, to get people truly excited and to like bring in people to what the Panthers are doing, right? I think that something needs to happen for them to be, I don't know if it's like the Panthers actually showing us some more footage or something, right? But something needs to happen to keep this steam going outside of your blueprints or outside of like the little mini videos that they do. But something needs to happen to kind of keep this train going. Because if not, I think they'll lose a lot of the
Don't hold your
influence.
breath.
I just let me know, is that a good idea or not? Like,
don't hold your breath.
Why? Like there's so many other NFL teams that do things like that. Like I've seen NFL teams, like I have done research and seen NFL teams use content creators or reporters to do their own like type of either live stream or podcast or doing something.
What would the live streaming entail?
So I think the live streaming could entail a few different things. One, of course, you won't be able to show any of the practice, right? But I think like being there, possibly getting an interview or two from a player, kind of walking through what you saw live, like, hey, like after it's over, like it could be like fresh out, like done with the training camp. It's like, this is what I saw during camp. Jimmy Horn Jr.
We can do that anyway.
Can you do it? You could do it on the field. Like on the field at training camp.
Well, why would we do it on the field?
I don't know. To me, it just feels like you're right there versus like, hey, this is what I saw today. It's like, to me, it feels fresh. It feels like, and you can possibly interview, like if you could interview some of the players, of like, hey,
Well,
this
we
will happen.
do interview select players after training camp, and then we could do one-on-ones after training camp.
Okay.
And then we could like do a podcast or do a spaces
Okay.
after training camp is over with. Right after, they're not gonna allow any like live feeds other than our updates on Twitter
Okay.
during, but right after, absolutely that can be done. And we wouldn't need permission to do that per
Yeah.
se. And Sheena and I were talking about just that earlier today, how to do that and how to bring the fans into it.
Yeah. It's needed. It's so needed, Vashti.
But I'm telling you, like, for the Panthers, and I don't know, they're thinking it's not a big deal that the fans aren't going to be there, because they're looking at the bigger picture where we're making these upgrades so that we can host the draft one day, or we could put a bid in for these larger events to happen at the stadium. We can host watch parties outside, like a lot of teams have
Yeah.
at these newer stadiums. They have areas where they have tailgates that even if you aren't necessarily going inside the game, you can have that experience. So they're thinking about it as you have to make short-term sacrifices for long-term gains, which I understand, but I also hate it for the fans,
Yeah.
because what you guys get from training camp is going to be watered down, because there are a lot of people who are recording from the stands, even though they're not supposed to.
Some people had drones.
And that's just not going to be the case this year. Like, we only get to record for a very select time frame.
So I think at the end of the day, Vashti, is that you probably already noticed, but Panther fans are relying on you and Sheena and the team to like let us know who really out there. And you look, one thing I'll say, when we had the PNP and Friends live, y'all were honest about what y'all saw in terms of like who was a dog, who did they thing, who didn't do they thing, and we're looking for that again of like what y'all are seeing. And just one thing y'all gonna do is always keep it a buck, and that's what we're looking for, because I think this is definitely. I understand the short term pain for long term pleasure. I get that, and I understand that, especially from a business standpoint. I get that. But I think like in terms of where we are headed as a team, as an organization, and I think Icky said it today of like we're on the precipice of something special, right? And I do like, and this is not me sipping no Kool-Aid, because you know me, like I let us sip some Kool-Aid, Panthers Kool-Aid. But it's not me sipping the Kool-Aid. I can see that. I can see that we're on the precipice of something special. Just based on like how we're moving, the things that we're doing, the moves that we're making. I'm not saying it's going to happen next year that we're like, oh, but you could tell like we are doing the right things and moving the right way. And I think to me that's exciting. I think things are going to, if we play right and we execute this particular plan that's in place, something special. You know what I'm saying? Like, you remember how 2015 was? We talked about it before. I ain't saying it's going to be like that.
You were drinking Kool-Aid. What year was that? Not last year. The year before.
No. I was drinking Kool-Aid last year. I wasn't
You
drinking
drink Kool-Aid every year.
No, I don't. Chill on me.
You didn't drink Kool-Aid Reich's year?
I was iffy on Reich.
Fred, you was drinking Kool-Aid that year.
I might have sipped it. I might have like, let me see what it tastes like. But last year, I was on the Kool-Aid. I was on a Kool-Aid heavy. I was on a Kool-Aid heavy. I was. And I'll be honest about that. The other year, I had the Kool-Aid. It was poured. But I don't know if I was like sipping it like I was last year. But this year, and you said this too. I should go clip it. I should go find it. But you said this, Carl. You said this. You were like, Carlo, you sipping it now, but you said, you were like, hey, look, I did that the previous year and I got burned. You was like, you gonna learn. And I was like, no, Vashti, I'm gonna be all right. And I learned. So this year, I ain't gonna sip on a Kool-Aid. You know what I'm saying? But I can definitely see where this is headed. And that's just me being real.
The Panthers are positioning themselves to be competitive at the top of the NFC South.
You gotta
Now
love
they
it.
have to do it.
And the biggest
But,
thing, and the
yeah.
thing is, the reason I'm so excited too is like the NFC South is not that good.
I mean, the NFC South has always been a wide open division.
That's why I think that's why I'm looking at the Kool-Aid. I ain't pour it yet, but I'm looking at it. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? I'm doing that
Fair enough.
the Nico Harrison side eye. You know what I mean? I'm looking at
Fair
it, but
enough.
Fast, I know you got to go, but I
Yes, and
appreciate
you're
you.
gonna talk about that movie I haven't seen yet.
Oh
so.
yeah, I got to talk about Sinners. Hey, guess you ain't seen it, but look, Vashta, I appreciate you. I will see you next week. We still got to talk too, so hit me up.
All right.
All right,
Bye, guys.
bye, Vashta. Hey, W's in the chat for Vashta. Goat, a goat. All right, so before I get into Sinners, because I got to give a Sinners review. If you haven't seen Sinners, I'll let you know when the spoilers and stuff come. We may not go in like too much detail, but I definitely want to talk about Sinners a little bit. But I need to talk about a little basketball. You know what I'm saying? We talked a lot about football, and I definitely still have a lot to talk about in terms of how I feel about the Panthers draft picks. So if y'all want me to talk about it tonight, I can talk about it a little later on because I definitely have my thoughts. And I said a lot during Dunk's stream, but I'm super excited right here. If I had to give it a grade, I got to give it an A. I got to give it an A. I think he cooked for sure. But let's get into some other content. So first off, I gotta talk about this guy right here. You know what I'm saying? If you've been following the pregame podcast, you know how I feel about the Lakers, man. It's Laker gang or don't bang. Okay, it's Laker gang or don't bang for me. And I was super excited about us getting Luka. I was super excited about where we were going with everything. But I was talking to my homeboy. And he said, like, he was like, "Oh, we gonna kill the Wolves, set the third." And I was like, "Look, don't sleep on Anthony Edwards and the Wolves." And I said it and I meant it and it happened. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's time to have a conversation about Anthony Edwards, right? Anthony Edwards, 23 years old, led the league in percentage of three-pointers. And this man has been on the come up. I mean, I said, look, you can go back. If you don't believe what I'm about to say, you can go back to early episodes of the pregame podcast. And I said, and this happened right when they went to the Olympics and Anthony Edwards was balling. And I said, look out for him. He is going to have a breakout year. He had a breakout year last year. And now look at him having another breakout year. That past year, he beat Kevin Durant in the playoffs, KD. And now he comes back the following year and beats LeBron James and Luka Doncic in 5, right? And everyone, Shannon Sharp, what do you say? Timberwolves, all this Lakers in 5, right? And now it's the Wolves in 5, you know what I'm saying? But I think it's time to have a conversation about Anthony Edwards and the excellence and eliteness, if that's even a word, of who he is, like, and what he does. Like, I think it was an amazing series for Anthony Edwards. I hope we'll see what happens. It may be Timberwolves and the Warriors. That's gonna be a good matchup. But Anthony Edwards cooked, man. He definitely cooked. It was nothing they could do with him. Julius Randle had vengeance on his mind because of the Lakers trading him and all those different things. Like, he was on, like, they could not miss. They made every shot. Like, they could not miss. So as a Lakers fan, look, I gotta give respect and where respect is due. Timberwolves definitely cooked. Anthony Edwards is that guy. I always, like, even though I'm a Lakers fan, I have players that I really, really rock with and that I watch. Steph Curry is definitely one of them. KD was one of them, and Anthony Edwards is definitely one too. That's somebody that he is authentically himself, and that man is a straight hooper. Like, all levels. Like, he can drive, he can dish, he can shoot, he can defend, all around, just great player. We'll see if he's potentially the face of the league at some point. But shout out to Anthony Edwards, man. I definitely had to say that. I want to talk about somebody that crashed out. Giannis. What was up with Giannis, y'all? Why did Giannis crash out like that? If you did not see this, there was a lot of like turmoil, like the whole series. So the Bucks definitely got beat by Indiana Pacers. I think it was 4-1. And after the game, they were at Indiana. And the way this started, I definitely want to give context here. I want to say Benedict Mathurin, who is the fella right here smiling. I think they were kind of having a lot of chitter chatter throughout the whole series, and I guess Giannis wasn't feeling that. And the way that Giannis like grabbed this dude's head and like brought him, and it felt like at first that he was like saying really positive things like, "Good luck next series. You did your thing, bruh. I'm rooting for y'all. I'll see y'all next year." But no, he was saying some crazy stuff because then Benedict Mathurin pushed him away, and then this whole tussle started. After this little tussle started, Tyrese Halliburton's father then got into his face, Giannis' face, and was like throwing up the Tyrese jersey like in front of his face. And then he pulls up on Tyrese's father and went like head to like face to face with him. Now, this is Tyrese's mom looking scared as crap. Like, what the heck is happening? And I feel as though Giannis had an outer body experience because of the fact that like all this happened, and then they got face to face, and then afterwards he was like giving him a thumbs up and all that stuff. Like he kind of got back into himself and was like, "Yo, best of luck, this that, and the third." My biggest thing is like as a professional player, like I think you have to have hubris, you have to have the wherewithal, if you will, to really lose with some grace. You know what I'm saying? Like I think LeBron gets so much negative feedback in terms of how he responds to losses. And I think he responds professionally. Like even last night, like he dapped everybody up. Sometimes he has walked off the court, this and the third. But last night he dapped people up, told Anthony Edwards, like, hey, make sure you get to that next step, this and the third. I'm rooting for you. But like, I'd rather you walk off the court than do what Giannis did. You know what I'm saying? Now Giannis is going into his villain arc, and people are going to start to like look at him a different way. I say all that to say, and I agree that Tyrese's dad was definitely in the wrong. And Tyrese said that in a press conference, like there is no reason why you should be jumping on a court after your son did all the work to be jumping on the court and like throwing up the jersey and saying, yeah, we beat y'all, this, that, and the third. Like first off, you too old for that, bro. You too old for that. That was definitely a John Morant's dad move. Like it's no need to do that. Either way, if you have not been watching these playoffs, the playoffs have been utterly exciting in the first round. I don't think I've seen a first round this exciting in a very, very, very long time. So shout out to NBA playoffs and that, because NBA, the season has been a little iffy. You feel me? But shout out to the NBA playoffs because it's been super, super. Oh shoot, I'm tripping. Super duper exciting. All right. So the other thing I want to talk about, let me fix my camera right here. I was out here wilding. The other thing, so spoiler alert. If you have not seen this particular movie, now is your time to log off, and then you can come back on because I definitely have a lot of good news, fun news to talk about. But I'm gonna be very careful of not spoiling this movie. But I definitely wanted to talk about it. If you haven't seen, like, one person that I rock with is Kevin on Stage. Kevin on Stage had a great review of this movie. So I went to go see this movie maybe like 2 weeks ago. So it might have been like early when it first came out. I went to go see it in IMAX. The reason I went to see IMAX because Ryan Coogler, the director, said that he filmed this for IMAX. And if you've gone to see this movie in IMAX, you totally understand why he said that. And the work that I do for a living, right? I'm on a corporate communications team who works on events, who works on production, who works on all these different things, right? And so like my way of looking at films is different because I'm on this team and what I do for a living. And so I really appreciate visuals. I really appreciate production. I really appreciate storylines, all those different things. With that being said, I give this particular movie a 9 out of 10. A 9 out of 10. It was a close 10 out of 10, but I got to give it a 9 out of 10. A few things I want to talk about. One, this movie was definitely for the culture, and I really, really appreciate that. I appreciate the fact that it was in Mississippi, the history behind why it was in Mississippi, what was going on throughout that particular time, and the fact that like everyone knows this is a vampire movie, but the vampires weren't the biggest villains. You know what I'm saying? Or what wasn't like the only villain. I thought that was so dope. A lot of people give flack to Michael B. Jordan and his acting, right? He is unfortunately, a very polarizing actor, and I've heard so many people say that he is not as good as what people say, right? Me, on the other hand, I think he's a phenomenal actor. I really appreciated him in Black Panther. I thought he did a great Killmonger. Fruitvale Station, even though that was based on a true movie, based on a true story, excuse me. Great movie. The Creeds are great. However, I feel as though that this particular movie is the best acting that Michael B. Jordan has ever done. I really do. I wholeheartedly will say, I'll say that with my whole chest. The fact that he played two twins, Smoke and Stack, and it really felt like they were different characters. Like they totally two different people. Totally two different people. Right? Like they totally had two different personalities. It felt like you're looking at totally two different people. And I thought that was so dope. So dope. Haley Steinfeld played a great character. Annie, who I am forgetting her name, and I apologize, but she played such a character. She was Smoke's love interest in the movie. Heck of a role. But one person that I think does not get the credit that they deserve, that I want to make sure, and I feel as though two people should get Oscars in from this. I feel like Michael B. Jordan could be nominated for an Oscar, and I feel like this other person, Delroy Lindo, Linroy, excuse me, Delroy Lindo is his name. He should get best supporting actor because his role and the comedic relief in a horror film, is very, very difficult to do, right? Like to be able to provide some type of humor in the midst of adversity, in the midst of trauma, in the midst of turmoil is very, very difficult. And Delroy Lindo, I'm saying his name wrong. Delroy Lindo, Carlo. it was extremely difficult, and he did so well. He did so well in this. He was hilarious. He played a great role, and it wasn't even a big role, but he played a great role. If you haven't seen this movie, it is really, really good. The storyline is great. And it felt realistic. Like nobody has superpowers or really cool moves to fight the vampire. Like it was a very realistic movie. Very, very good. I would definitely watch it again. Solid, solid, solid movie. If you've seen it, drop in the chat what you would rate it. Because I thought it was a fire, fire movie. One thing I want to talk about before we get into something else was this particular prank. So we talked about Shador Sanders and him falling, but it seemed like it was the prank heard around the world, and there's a lot of pranks that happen. And as a Panthers fan, him being on the Falcons now, Jeff Ulbrich, they should have took a daggone draft pick. That's how I feel about it. Take a draft pick. Pissed me off that they didn't, but I think it was very interesting that a lot of different things happened here, right? One, the fact that a lot of media are saying that this was an honest mistake when it really wasn't an honest mistake. Like he knew exactly what he was doing. I'm not saying what I knew, why he did it and all that. Maybe it could have been for clout for a college campus at Ole Miss. I don't know. But it was very interesting that a lot of people are starting to do this prank thing. And I'm like, yo, like what kind of clout? What are you getting out of this, bro? To record yourself knowing that you could get in trouble. And his dad actually did get in trouble. He cost his dad $100,000 and the Atlanta Falcons $250,000 for the next year. It sucks. I want to know what y'all think about this, right? Do y'all think that the NFL should do something about this moving forward? Should they be very cautious of the numbers that people are getting, actually the phone numbers that people are getting? I don't know. Like for me, the way that I look at it is the players, like this is I'm looking at it in the perspective of a player, right? This is one of the biggest moments of my life, right? I worked extremely hard to get to the place I am now, right? I've sacrificed a lot of different things to be able to be one of the top 200 and something players to be drafted to the NFL. I'm waiting on this particular call from my future team to tell me that they are picking me at pick X to now be part of their organization. And I have some kid, on the other hand, who has either gone through like Jeff Rubrick, who has snuck in to my laptop to be able to figure out what the number is from my phone to then call said player and make a prank. Like if I'm a player, like that is, could you imagine getting a prank call during that time when your heart is racing? You don't know exactly where you're going. You don't know where you're going to get a call of somebody playing. Like that's pretty wild, right? And I hope that the NFL does something from a security standpoint to fix this. And with the amount of money that the NFL makes, they should be able to fix a problem like this where people are not, hacking to figure out exactly what that is. Also, I'm not saying it's all on NFL, right? But I think what Shador did at that point in time was the smartest thing to do. Get a new phone with a private number that only the NFL and NFL teams have, right? Versus, and I'm saying I don't know how to do it. Maybe everybody does this. I don't know, but I'm just saying what I heard from Shador on the video. Versus just having your regular phone where everybody could be texting and calling you at one point, and that NFL has that number. It's very interesting, and I think that like as for the NFL to be a multi-billion dollar company, not to have that type of cybersecurity concerns me. Concerns me a bit because that sucks that this is happening to them often. So I wanted to talk about that because I think it sucks on their end from a Shador, but also like, look, call a spade a spade. Like he deserves to be punished, and they deserve to take a draft pick because I don't like the Falcons. One question before we get into the final thing in terms of some updates that I have. I got a question for you all, and this was posed. We did a pregame mailbag, so shout out to We Told You All Week podcast. They sent a message in and had a question. They said, "What do you think is harder, rushing for 10 yards in the NFL?" I'm talking about like you as a person. You, not saying like just in general any particular player, but like if you were in the NFL, rushing for 10 yards in the NFL or scoring 10 points in the NBA. Rushing for 10 yards in the NFL or scoring 10 points in the NBA. And I thought about this for a minute. And I was like, look, I feel as though that it's harder to rush for 10 yards in the NFL than it is scoring 10 points in NBA. Right? Look, at the end of the day, yes, there are some NBA players that don't score 10 points in a game. Right? But me, I'm 6'3". I'm 6'3", calling like 240, 250, right? So yes, in the NFL, like I'm pretty tall for a running back. But look, bro, there's some big dudes in the NFL. And if they knew you were trying to get 10 yards, do you think it's gonna be easy? Like, I don't know what offensive line you got, but you got to get past a defensive line, and then you got to get past the daggone linebackers, even before you even talk about the safeties or the corners, right? But I think as though it's hard to rush for 10 yards than it is scoring in the NBA, right? Like in the NBA, like I'm a lefty, you know what I'm saying? Like I could drop a few buckets, you know what I'm saying? And I've seen a lot of people sit at the 3-point line and let somebody drive and dish, right? And if I'm thinking like if I'm sitting there and I can just sit there at 3-point line and somebody gonna drive and dish, I can get you 10 points. You know what I'm saying? Like granted, like if I'm wide open, like I can hit that, right? But I think it's harder. I think it's harder to rush in. But I had this conversation with some of my homeboys, and they said that they think it's harder to score 10 points in the NBA. And I disagree. I think it's harder to rush for 10 yards. That's just me. I just want to call that out. But shout out to We Told You All Week podcast. It is a college betting podcast. So make sure y'all go over there to We Told You All Week. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. So if y'all are betting people, you know what I'm saying? I'm not really into the betting piece, but if y'all are betting people, you know what I mean? Go over there. They've been hitting. So make sure y'all go listen to them. All right. A few of things I want to talk about before we close for today. So I've been thinking about like one thing I talked about earlier when I was on Dunks. We got 150 people in here. So make sure y'all hit that like button, subscribe, and then also do what I'm about to tell y'all. Right. So I talked about Dunk. I talked to Dunk on his when we did the draft live stream. And I one thing I appreciate about doing live streams like this is the community, right? Everybody that's commenting in the chat, all 150 people of y'all, all 150 people who are watching me right now, and joining on the podcast. I appreciate the community that live streams create. And one thing I want to do is to be able to create that community offline, because one thing I always appreciate is like all the pregame mailbags, like I talked about with the rushing 10 yards or playing or scoring 10 points, like people offering suggestions, asking questions, or sending us things to react to. Like that's what makes the podcast great, when people are able to join in on what we're doing, whether it be from your comments or like we've had a few people on the podcast that we talked about Love is Blind, right? And I had somebody join the podcast live and talk to us about it, right? That's what makes the podcast fun, is the engagement that we're able to create, right? And so what I've done is I created a Discord, right, called the Pregame Network, for all of us to join, right? And this right now is for right now, this Discord is free for you to join. And this is a way for us to interact throughout the week, right? We could talk about sports, we could talk about pop culture, anything that goes viral. We have a space for us to be able to talk about it amongst ourselves. It's gonna feel like a pregame. If you ever go into a pregame, you pull it up, when you come up to the pregame, you knock on that door, you walk in, there's so many different opportunities to talk about whatever, right? It could be talking about music, it could be talking about pop music, pop culture, sports, whatever going viral. Here at the pregame, that's what you talk about. Here at the pregame, that's what we do. We're the fusion of sports and pop culture. We talk about everything. And I think it'd be so dope to create a space on Discord to talk about everything. So I got two channels, right, in this pregame network. The first channel is for us to be able to chat and to be able to talk about all these different things amongst each other, amongst the community. But then also I got a channel called Pregame Reacts. So if you liked what we did earlier when we reacted to certain videos and different like viral things, in that particular channel, you have the opportunity to throw in things that you want us to react to. This is a way for you to, one, get a shout out on the podcast and say, like, yo, shout out to X, Y, and Z for sending this. And then we get a chance to react to it live, right? So if you ever seen like any of the Twitches and people react to it the way they have Reddits, that's what I want to create in the Discord, for us to be able to react to things that you all want us to react to and hear our thoughts on. But then also on the other channel, talk amongst each other and get to know each other and create a true community, right? This is the pregame gang, right? And we all want us to become closer. And this is get a chance for you to react with me, Vashti, and Shad more, right? It's a chance for you to get to know us a little bit more, see our personality, and then like offer suggestions on what you think would be good for this podcast, right? We do this for y'all, right? We're only going to go as far as you all want us to go, right? So make sure y'all join. I'm going to drop the link right now in the chat. So let me drop this in now. Where is it? All right. So I'm going to drop this in now. Y'all make sure y'all go over there and join the Discord. Like I said, it's free right now. Like right now, like we just want as many people as we can to get to enjoy and vibe. So make sure y'all join it. Come rock with us. And that's the pregame one, right? And then I think the same thing. Yeah, if you're interested in the pregame reacts one, I can get y'all that one. But I want to say you should be able to once you join the pregame network. So make sure y'all come rock with us. I'm going to do a post on Twitter as well, talking about this Discord and the pregame network and how you can interact with us and all that. But if y'all get that, make sure y'all join, man. I would love for y'all to join and come hang out and just come talk with us throughout the week. Let us know what some of the topics that y'all want us to talk about. As you can see, it's going to get spicy. It's going to get fun. That's what it's all about. You know what I mean? So I appreciate it. Also, if you are interested in being a moderator on this particular channel, it could be a moderator for the YouTube, or it can be a moderator on the Discord. If you, y'all, the A1 since day one, y'all been rocking with pregame, and you want to be a moderator, my favorite number is 4, right? So I got a 4 on my neck. You know what I mean? So not because of T-Mac. I've been rocking with 4 for a minute, but if you are interested in being a moderator, drop a 4 in the chat. And what I'll do is make sure I get your information so that we can make you a moderator in the chat. So you can just make sure that the community is doing well. People are abiding by the rules. Nobody's saying nothing crazy. You know what I'm saying? But you're going to help push this forward. You're going to be able to help push the pregame forward, right? We are at like 330 subscribers. We're trying to get to 500 so that we can get this YouTube partner program going on, and we about to go up, y'all. Also, last thing I want to say is that we're working on a live show. We're working on Pregame Podcast first live show. I think I'm gonna try to do it possibly around training camp. So, we'll let you know, but it's gonna be a vibe, y'all. It's gonna be a vibe. Make sure y'all pull up. And also we were able to play music without YouTube like copywriting us. You know what I'm saying? We could really have a true vibe. A true vibe, right? So make sure if y'all are interested in joining that, let me know. And I'll give you some dates once it's set in stone and all that. But I got a few things cooking on the back end there. So I appreciate y'all for pulling up. I know we overtime. I usually like to try to keep this an hour. I want everybody. We got 156 people in here watching right now. I appreciate y'all for pulling up. Make sure all of y'all go over to Panthers on Tap and go watch theirs, and make sure you can support my dog Ricky, Curtis, and Bryson, and make sure you pull up. I'm going to go over there, so I hope to see y'all there. But look, every Thursday, we used to do around 7:38. We may push it to 8 p.m. Just a little bit easier for everybody. But every Thursday, we are here, y'all. The fusion of sports and pop culture. We do this. We're on our way up. I appreciate y'all for pulling up on me, man. Look, so much gratitude. I appreciate it. Look, shout out to y'all, okay? I see a lot of people in the chat already saying they joined. I appreciate y'all, Pregame gang.
Hey, say gang.
We out of here, y'all. Peace.